A forever DM finally gets a break and hands the reins to their Paladin player. What starts as a simple mine rescue mission turns into 50 rooms of non-stop combat and traps. No roleplay, no story, just 6-hour sessions of pure grinding. This is the story of how one problem player nearly destroyed a campaign from both sides of the screen. Let's dive in. This is actually a series of horror stories. At the time of this game, I'd been a forever DM for around a decade. I tried many systems, but always as the DM. Mid-campaign, I was experiencing some burnout. We decided to run separate campaigns with different DMs. I was ecstatic that they were up for it. Our party was made up of Ranger, 22, fairly cool guy, had a crush on Druid, 21, shy player, stuck to Ranger like glue, Paladin, 22, power gamer, team player, but was violent with other PCs at times to get his way. Rogue, 23, chaotic, liked stealing things, professional rage baiter, and then me, an Eldritch Knight, 22. I wanted the games to work out, so I guess team player. So the first person to try their hand at DM was Paladin. He's played versions dating back to 2nd edition with his dad, so we were all excited for him to take over. We start the game in the employ of a local lord, heading an expedition sent to a town in a remote valley that mines a rare ore. Our mission is to restore the flow of rare ore to the kingdom. He decided to start us out at level 3 with an extra 3k gold to spend and an additional feat using point buy. We all did our thing, then set into the town with around 100 NPC followers. I was pretty excited at this point, but it was kind of downhill from there. The town mayor comes out to greet us and states an army of orcs and monsters overran the mines, and that we need to uproot them to re-establish the flow of metals. He then tells us as DM that we might not have another attempt to spend gold for some time, so we should buy material for a dungeon crawl. We do so, stocking up on supplies, then head out with our army. We arrive at the mine and encounter an army of orcs. We try for diplomacy, but the diplomat gets struck down by an arrow from above by a menacing orc on a manticore. Cue a massive battle that goes on for 6 hours. 6 hours of straight combat. He played it out like a 40k game where little time was spent on the players and it was mostly archers trading volleys and shield walls clashing. We all got a few cool moments. Druid healed a bunch of soldiers, Ranger and Rogue played cat and mouse with the Warlord, and I fought elite orcs on the line. It was just a long grind for so early in a game. In hindsight, I think he should have narrated the army parts or let us control the units. Orc Warlord and army flees back into the mine once his manticore is wounded, and we decide to take a long rest outside the mine. Our long rest is interrupted at every turn. Soldiers dragged away in the night by goblin warg riders, shot with arrows or burned in their tents. We figure that's fair, and decide even low on resources, we need to assault the mine, but we ended the first session there. We agreed we wanted more RP, but overall the party was somewhat content. Next session, the DM awards us with a short rest, and we push inside, only to find traps everywhere. Spike traps, wire traps, stone blockades, trap doors that flood rooms. It was like attacking a castle built by kobolds. Worse, we couldn't siege it because the goblins had tunnels above it in the ice to ferry supplies from caves to surface and vice versa. So we had to push inside. Soldiers began to die in droves. Still, we fought, and before we knew it, we'd cleared around 20 rooms, lost nearly all our men to wargs and goblin swarms, and the session was over. Hours of fighting after waiting days for a session. Some of us disliked the constant fighting and traps, especially with no rewards, but Paladin encouraged us on, so we went. Though some silent agreements were made to depose Paladin if this kept up. Session 3 rolls around and we go straight back into the grind. By this point, we'd worked out a good system of combat. Rogue leads looking for traps, then when combat begins, I lead tank with Rogue doing damage, Ranger shooting or plugging goblin holes, and Druid being our clutch healer. We start clearing rooms quickly without our soldiers, most of whom are dead. We eventually leave them behind and press on alone. More combat, more rooms. This infinite mine never seems to end, and another session ends with us holding up in a room we found with an iron grate for a short rest while we hope the soldiers buy us time on their way out. Paladin/DM rewards me and only me by having us find an angelic sword in the mine. Apparently it used to be a temple. The others are jealous of my magic item and sick of constant fighting, especially Rogue. Rogue says he's done and wants to run his game, but I talk him into trying another session. The session ends with us hearing the sounds of battle and death echoing through the mine. Session 4. All our soldiers are dead, and we're alone in the mines. The monsters have started retrapping our path in because they think we're gone. We try again to long rest. We finally get some RP in. Druid's afraid that we'll all die in here. Ranger says he won't let it happen and promises to protect her. Rogue senses the vibe and decided to hit on Druid. Druid says this isn't the time or place and wonders if we should even be talking. Rogue calls Ranger a cuck. I guess Paladin/DM took that as a sign because now a bunch of angry bugbear shock troops are trying to work their way through the iron gate. We get a short rest, use our potions, and it's back to combat. It's a rough fight. Our resources are worn down and the enemies just keep coming. Druid's running on cantrips and I'm out of first level spells. Without healing, damage starts to accumulate. We finally win and push into the next chamber. We figure with the bodies we've piled and their elites dead, maybe they've abandoned the mine. No, they had not. We had to fight a literal army. We were all pretty done with it, but we had the rhythm down. We cleared room after room, and finally, near the end of the session, we find the boss room. But instead of the chieftain, it's a group of pissed off ogres. The fight's close. I get knocked into death saves, as does Ranger. But they go down, and the orc ads seem to back off. We reinforce the room and try to rest. End session. We discuss things, and Rogue is absolutely done with constant fighting. We tell Paladin as a group that we want to have politics and RP. He says he gets it, and that's that. Session 5 was brief. We wake up after a long rest and find the ogres had a loot pile with a new shiny bow for Rogue, a staff that gave more spell slots for Druid, and armor for the Ranger. We were sort of okay with this obvious bribe, since we felt we'd earned it, and we moved to leave, only for a grate to be discovered under an ogre. This wasn't the dungeon's end. Paladin/DM then smugly congratulated us on clearing layer 1 of 3, and said not to worry, the others had half as many rooms, and more interactive traps that would give RP moments. Being that this was Roll20 and we'd cleared 50-ish rooms to get this far, we respectfully declined. He insisted we didn't know how to enjoy good D&D because we hadn't faced a real boss fight yet. We figured, that's fine, but we don't care. We decided to let Rogue run the game, but we'd take our characters and stuff from this game and move to the next. DM/Paladin is salty, but he's happy he got to have a realistic dungeon crawl, even if we didn't appreciate it. So we moved from the Infinity Dungeon into the next setting. If you've got a horror story like this one, whether you're the DM, the player, or just witness the chaos, send it my way. I love reading these, and your story could be the next. Links in the description. Alright, so that's where part 1 wraps. Party just slogged through 50 rooms of combat and traps, only to be told that they're still on the first floor of a 3-layer dungeon. The group is exhausted, Rogue is completely done, and they decided to bail on the Infinity Dungeon and let Rogue DM the next campaign. But here's the kicker. Paladin's coming back as a player now, and trust me, it does not get better. Part 2 drops soon, and you're gonna want to see what happens when the problem DM becomes a problem player. Hit subscribe, drop a like if you're drop a like if you're feeling the secondhand pain, and I'll catch you in the next one.